Outgrow your own bullshit. That's the only real battle in this life. Forget the enemies you think you have. Forget the obstacles you think stand in your way. The real war, it's in your head. The lies you've convinced yourself are true. The comforting excuses you cling to. The habits that keep you locked in a cage of your own making. You've built that cage brick by brick, and now you're trapped. But here's the thing. The same hands that built it can tear it down. You're not stuck because of anyone else. You're stuck because you've chosen to stay where it's safe, comfortable, predictable. You've crafted a version of yourself that fits into the story you've always told. A story where you're the victim of circumstance, of fate. It's a narrative you feed yourself so you never have to change. Because change is brutal. And growth is the kind of pain most people run from. But running won't save you from the truth. And deep down, you know it. You've become so good at fooling yourself, at making every misstep feel like a calculated plan. But that's the game, isn't it? You're both the player and the played, tricking yourself into thinking this is all there is, that you've reached your limits. But your limits? They're just the edges of your comfort zone, and beyond them lies everything you could be. If only you had the guts to step into the unknown. If only you could outgrow the lies you've sold yourself. Every excuse you make is another chain around your neck, dragging you deeper into mediocrity. You've convinced yourself you're not ready, that the time isn't right. But time, it's never going to feel right. Growth doesn't wait for you to be comfortable. It comes when you're at your weakest, when you're staring into the mirror, forced to face the reflection of the person you've allowed yourself to become. That's when the real test begins. Will you tear down the facade or keep wearing the mask? It's funny, really. You think you're protecting yourself by staying small, by keeping your world contained. But the real danger is in staying the same. Stagnation is death, a slow and agonizing fade into irrelevance. You have to outgrow your own bullshit, or you'll suffocate in it. That's the harsh reality most people are too afraid to face. But you're not like them. You can see it, feel it. Just beyond the edge of your excuses lies the person you were always meant to be. The price of transformation is high. It's going to cost you your comfort, your excuses, your old self. But that's the point. You can't evolve while dragging your past behind you like a corpse. You have to burn it all down. The stories, the lies, the safe illusions you've built around yourself. And in the ashes of what you once were, you'll find the foundation of what you could be. But you have to be willing to lose everything you think you know. Outgrowing your own bullshit isn't a one-time thing. It's a war you fight every single day. But when you win, when you finally break free, there's no going back. You've changed things forever. We repeat what we don't repair. It's a vicious cycle, isn't it? The same mistakes, over and over again. Different faces, same situations. You think you've moved on, evolved, grown past it. But no, there it is again, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to drag you back down. Why? Because you never truly fixed it. You patched it up with excuses, distractions, anything to avoid facing the real problem. But the cracks, they're still there, and they always will be, until you gather the courage to rip everything open and do the work. Pain that goes unaddressed doesn't just disappear. It festers. It seeps into every corner of your life, coloring your choices, twisting your perspective. And before you know it, you're back where you started, asking yourself how this could possibly happen again. But deep down, you already know the answer. You never dealt with it. You shoved it in a corner, put a bandage over the wound, and told yourself time would heal it. But time heals nothing when the infection is still spreading. It's comfortable to think the past is behind you, that the scars you carry are nothing more than faint reminders. But if you keep repeating the same patterns, those scars are still wide open, still bleeding, no matter how hard you try to pretend otherwise. Every time you make the same choice, fall into the same trap, you're proving one thing: you haven't learned. You haven't grown. You're stuck, running in circles, too afraid to face what really needs to change. You can numb yourself with distractions, drown the echoes of your mistakes in temporary pleasures. But the cycle will always come back around. It's a loop, endlessly feeding on itself. And the only way out? It's through the mess, the discomfort, the hard truths you've spent your life avoiding. You have to dive into the wreckage, face your reflection in the shattered pieces, and rebuild something new. If you don't, you'll keep coming back to this same spot, over and over again, haunted by the ghosts of your own creation. Change demands pain, and pain demands attention. You can't outrun it, no matter how fast or how far you go. It'll catch up to you, eventually, because it's a part of you. It's what shapes you, whether you like it or not. The choice isn't whether or not to suffer. That's inevitable. The choice is whether you let that suffering repeat, or whether you use it as fuel to finally break the cycle. To repair something, you have to destroy what's broken first. You have to tear it down to its core, no matter how ugly or painful it is. And only then can you start to rebuild. But if you keep pretending you can move forward without addressing what's still shattered inside you, you'll find yourself back in the same place, again and again. And the worst part, you'll start to believe that's all you deserve. There's power in breaking the cycle, but it's a power few ever reach, because it means staring into the abyss of your own flaws, your own failures, and taking responsibility for them. It means no more running, no more repeating. It means repair. But only if you're ready to burn down the comforting lies and face the destruction that comes before the real healing begins. Stop shrinking to fit into places that are far too small for you. The spaces you've outgrown, the 9 to 5, the relationships that drain the life from your veins, the routine that makes you feel like a ghost in your own existence. It's time to burn them all, but not with rage. No, with precision, with intent. You've been contorting yourself, bending and twisting into shapes just to fit into the confines of a life that's beneath you. And for what? Comfort? Security? Familiarity? Pathetic. These things were never built for someone like you. They were built to contain you. You were never meant to be the piece in someone else's puzzle. And yet here you are, forcing yourself into corners, cutting away the parts of you that might spill out, that might break the boundaries of that predictable little world. All for what? To feel normal? To feel accepted? But tell me this, when has anyone who ever made a difference, who ever shattered the illusion of the mundane, been normal? Look at your 9 to 5, an existence where time is carved into pieces, traded for paper, a life on repeat. You go in, you punch the clock, and with every tick of that infernal machine, you lose a part of yourself. Day after day, you shed your potential, dropping it like breadcrumbs behind you, hoping to find your way back to the person you used to be. But there's no going back, only forward, forward, through the destruction of that routine that's been suffocating you. And it is suffocating you, whether you admit it or not. Every second you spend shrinking into that role, you lose a piece of your soul. And these relationships, let's not even pretend they're anything more than a prison made of flesh and words. You cling to them because you're afraid to be alone, but in their presence, you're more alone than ever. They hurt you, but you come back again and again, like a moth to the flame. You mistake the warmth for love, but it's just burning you alive, and you know it. The ashes are already in your lungs. So why do you stay? Why do you keep shrinking? To fit the mold that someone else cast for you. Your routine, it's killing you. Slowly, yes, but surely. Every day, the same motions, the same habits, the same impulsive choices that you justify with excuses. Tomorrow, you say. Tomorrow, I'll be different. But tomorrow never comes, does it? Because you keep choosing the path of least resistance. The path that leads you in circles, back to the same place, back to the same miserable, small version of yourself. You repeat the same bad habits because it's easier to be predictable than to risk the chaos of change. But what's the point of a predictable life if all it leads to is death? The slow death of your potential, the quiet death of your ambition, the final death of your soul. You were never meant to fit into these small spaces. You were never meant to stay in the places you've outgrown. So stop shrinking, stop bending, stop hiding from your own power just to keep the peace in a world that was never built for you. Break the routine, destroy the habits, walk away from the relationships that make you feel like less than what you are. Burn the bridge to the life you're trying to outgrow and watch it crumble into the abyss. There's nothing for you back there. Stop clinging to what's comfortable, to what's familiar. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Familiarity is the enemy of greatness. The thing you're so afraid to leave behind because it's safe is a lie. It's a trap, a cage that convinces you to stay small. You could walk away right now, and the world wouldn't crumble. It might just open up. It might just reveal something you never imagined. Simplicity. The word rolls off the tongue like a soft promise, but beneath it lies a labyrinth, a tangled web of complexity most will never even attempt to unravel. The art of simplicity isn't about cutting away the fat, reducing life to some minimalistic nothingness. Number simplicity is about mastery. It's about stripping down the layers of chaos, not to find emptiness, but to find the essence, the core of what really matters. And it's there, hidden deep within the puzzle of complexity. That simplicity reveals itself as the most sophisticated trick of all. It's not about being basic, no. It's about removing all the distractions, all the unnecessary noise, until what's left is so razor sharp, so precise, that it cuts through life like a blade. The world is drowning in complexity. Look around. People thrive on it, glorify it. The more convoluted, the more chaotic, the better, because it gives them an excuse to do nothing, an excuse to drown in their own mediocrity. They think complexity makes them look intelligent, when all it does is bury them under a mountain of excuses and unfinished plans. But simplicity? Simplicity is terrifying. It's a scalpel. It forces you to confront the raw, unfiltered reality of life. There's no place to hide behind clever words, no room for overcomplicated strategies or convoluted explanations. In simplicity, there's only the cold, harsh truth, only what is essential. And that's why so many run from it, because they fear what they might find if they strip away all the things they use to distract themselves. Simplicity is precision. It's control. And control is what people fear most. They fear mastering themselves because deep down, they know it would leave them without any excuses. So they cling to the chaos, to the unnecessary, to the complex. They mistake activity for progress, movement for meaning. But simplicity, the real kind, forces you to focus on what matters. It's the ultimate weapon, forged in the fires of discipline and clarity. But to wield it, to truly live a life of simplicity, is to be ruthless with yourself. It requires the ability to look into the mirror and strip away everything that doesn't serve you, everything that distracts you, everything that weakens you. And yet, here's the paradox. Simplicity is not simple. It's the hardest thing in the world to achieve because the mind is a chaotic battlefield. It's wired for complexity, wired to jump from one distraction to another, from one shiny object to the next. The real art, the true mastery, is found in taming that chaos, in bringing the storm inside your mind to a calm, controlled silence, in being able to look at the complexity and see the simplicity hidden within it, waiting to be revealed. But only a few have the guts to search for it, to sit alone in the silence and confront the overwhelming noise inside their heads. Only a few have the strength to chip away at the stone and reveal the masterpiece hidden underneath. Simplicity is not the absence of complexity. It's the control of it, the mastery of it. It's the art of focusing on what's real, what's pure, and letting go of everything else. So, take a hard look at your life, at the things that drown you in unnecessary chaos, at the plans, the people, the routines you think you need, but are only there to distract you. Simplicity is waiting, but it will not come easy. It will come with fire and destruction, with the burning away of all that is unworthy. But once it arrives, it is the most powerful tool you will ever possess. Simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. And those who master it, they are the ones who truly bend the world to their will.